Happy Wednesday, Billings residents. Sergeant Jeff Stovall at the Crime Prevention Center here today with the first official 5 Forum podcast with the Billings Police Department. We're down here at the Crime Prevention Center today, and I am the Public Relations Sergeant. I just took over that position here in January, and one of the goals and objectives I had is to start a podcast. And doing that, it's our way of reaching out to the community with certain events that are going on, things that are happening in the community, some crime trends that we're seeing, and just issues we have in our community here in Billings. So this is a 2024 way of us to reach out and do that and reach more viewers and members of our general public here so we can get that information out to you guys. So we titled it the 5 Forum. A little bit behind that is obviously one of the slang or terms for law enforcement is 5-0, and forum is a great place for us to meet and discuss and have things talked about that are happening here in our specific community. So it just kind of came to me and it stuck. So that's the name we're going to go with now. So today what we're going to have is I've got one of our guests today, Lieutenant Lennick. He's going to interview with me today. He is our administrative lieutenant for the police department. He's my boss. So today our roles are reversed a little bit to where I get to ask him the questions today. So it'll be kind of fun doing that and jumping in today. We're going to start with our initial podcast today, just going over some things, some crime issues or things that we're seeing here. We're going to talk about some of the events that we have upcoming for the police department as well. And then we'll kind of wrap it up from there. So appreciate you guys tuning in today. And Matt, I'll just kind of have you jump in and introduce yourself and just kind of the several things that you have on your plate you're in charge of. And if you can just start with there and we'll get rolling.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me today. Like Jeff said, I'm Matt Lennick. I'm the administrative lieutenant with the police department. I've been in law enforcement for 19 years. I've been with the department since 2006. So I oversee kind of a large span of things, hiring, training, recruiting, the Crime Prevention Center, the community service officers. I'm our department's public information officer, so all the updates on cases and stuff that you see posted come through me from the media. And then obviously the public relations stuff. And thankfully I've got Jeff here to take over this public relations position and down here at the CPC. So we're looking forward to some new and exciting things as he gets his feet wet. And but yeah, so I see a wide array of things within the department. A lot of things come through my office and just go with that.
All right. Now, just as an overview, just kind of we'll start with a broad brush of the department there. In terms of staffing and that, where are we sitting right now? How are we looking?
We're actually looking really well. So it's been something we've been working really hard on for the last couple years to backfill some of our spots and then also continue or finish filling the public safety mill levy spots that we were awarded in that last levy. So we are authorized at 168. That's our total authorized from the chief down to the brand new officer. And today I'm sitting at 163. So, and then with that 163, I've got a background process that's just finishing up. We'll probably go and review those with a hiring panel here next week. So I'm hoping to pick up a few more out of that process. And then this weekend, we're running our testing and our MPAT for the next academy process, just getting that up and running. So we're constantly in this cycle of hiring and moving forward, but only down those few bodies right now. We do have some projected retirements in 2024, so we're looking to make sure we plan ahead and get people started in the process ahead of time so that we don't have a deficit for a long time and we're able to keep those bodies on the street as much as possible. So, and the thing to remember with that is that when you are hiring, from the time you submit an application to going through the testing, going through the interview, going through the background, and then if you get hired, all of the training, it's almost a year process from start to finish. And so it's important that we're ahead of the schedule when trying to backfill spots that we know are going to be coming up.
Okay. And you mentioned as far as hiring in that, you said it's a constant open process there.
Yeah. So yeah, the police department has our process open continually, and applications are submitted through our HR department with the city through NeoGov. and they come to one of my sergeants, Sergeant Puckett, who manages a lot of our hiring stuff. And so she collects all the applications, and then we time all of our processes with the academy. You know, the academy in Helena only runs 3 classes a year.
Sure.
And so we have to time everything with how many spots we have, and then when they're going to start that class. But she collects the applications, and then when she gets a full group, and then when it matches the timing with the academy, then we start the testing portion part of it and moving forward in that process. So, but it does help being able to accept applications at all times, and just kind of store them away for the next process or whenever it needs to move.
Sure. Okay, excellent. And you said one of the programs, both you and I actually helped develop the Community Service Officer program there. As just having worked with them, and now I supervise that exact group of guys there and gals. They've been pretty busy over the past couple of years. Can you talk about some of the stuff they've done?
Yeah, so we got really lucky with the implementation of that program, with the mill levy and giving us those 7 bodies. And then of course I'll tote the hiring, and the group that we hired, the group that we have are just tremendous employees and just a great service to the community. They've worked really hard. They averaged last year, I can't remember the exact number, but I think that they were like 5 or 6% of the calls for service in total for the police department. The goal with them was to take calls that don't require a sworn officer, right? So they respond to these no or little suspect information, cold property crimes. For the most part, that's what they spend their time on. So your cold thefts, your cold vandalisms, that kind of stuff. And cold, when I say cold, I mean it didn't just occur. It happened last night or the day before or something like that, where it doesn't pose a threat to them because they are unarmed. And so, but the goal is to take that off of the sworn officer's plate to give them more time to be proactive and to shorten the response time on in progress calls, right? So that stuff wasn't sitting on the board, and these guys have just done a tremendous job, and they're constantly looking to take on more. What can we do to help? Not only do they do the cold property crime stuff, they also do your parking complaints. They do your VIN inspections. They just recently took on minor traffic crashes. The average response time waiting for a minor traffic crash was like, a little over 20 minutes, almost 25 minutes, something like that. Well, if we can have available units and the public doesn't have to sit and wait as long, and that was actually on the low end, your higher ones when we're really busy.
Sure.
Sometimes you would get to crashes and those people had to sit there for over an hour.
Right.
We don't want people having to sit there and wait for that kind of stuff, or we don't want them to have to wait to make their report until we have a volunteer or we have an officer available to take a cold report. So I think it's been a very successful program. Definitely sped up our response times. Definitely increased our customer service. In that instance where we have somebody who's associated with the department, they've got the proper training, they know what reports to complete, they know where it needs to go through the process, but it's not always done by phone. You actually get somebody that'll show up, they're collecting the evidence, they're taking the photos, there's follow through on those cases, so we're solving more cases.
Sure.
It's just in all, it's just been a tremendous program, and I think the department has definitely seen it, and hopefully the city is definitely seeing the benefit of allowing us those positions.
Absolutely. And 5%, you said about 5% of the calls out of the department, which is with a group of 7 CSOs. That's a huge undertaking for those guys to have. So, kudos to those guys. They work really, really hard. They love and have a passion for what they're doing, and it's great. So we really, really enjoy having those guys on, and they're helping a great deal with cold calls and assistant patrol in several different areas there. So, kind of transitioning. Sounds like this weekend the CSOs were quite busy. With some crime, unfortunate crime that happened around the city. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so they were very busy. We got notification on, I think it was Saturday, that we had a mass vandalism that had taken place in the midtown area of town. We had suspects running around shooting out windows in mostly vehicles. We did end up having a couple buildings, I think, that were hit
Mm-hmm.
too. Shooting them out with a BB gun, and the total this morning when I totaled everything was 95 case reports. So you're gonna have some of those have multiple vehicles or multiple victims and stuff like that. So almost 98% of those cases were taken by our
Yeah.
community service officers. I
Yeah.
mean, a couple patrol guys grabbed some of those. But yeah, so very unfortunate incident, had affected a lot of people.
Sure.
We're working on it. I know our CSOs were reaching out at the beginning of this week. They were looking at our Project Eyes on the Block, trying to figure out who our partners were in the community that have already signed up to assist us if they should have something on their cameras. So they were making some contacts there, just trying to develop some suspect leads. And then this morning I did pass that case off to our detective division. So they're going to be taking the investigation from here.
Okay.
And they'll be going forward. But yeah, it was kind of one of those large scale incidents that affects a lot of people, and probably going to take us some time to get it all wrapped up, but we are going to work on it.
Okay. Yeah, and it looks like per our Facebook page that you had posted on there, sounds like 95 reports is what we're up to right now of vandalism on those. We encourage anyone as well that has any information, whether it's suspect information, anything like that, or if they were a victim, to reach out to the police department at 657-8200. They can get a hold of dispatch, and then they'll get an officer or CSO out on that as well. So kind of segueing into one of the other issues that we're seeing is there was recently a court ruling in terms of the Ring doorbells. And I think I printed off from the Associated Press. It says verbatim, Amazon Ring will stop allowing police departments to request doorbell camera footage from users, marking an end to a feature that has drawn criticism from privacy advocates. In a blog post on Wednesday, Ring said it will sunset the request for assistance tool, which allows police departments and other public safety agencies to request and receive video captured by the doorbell cameras through Ring's Neighbors app. So we have the Project Eyes on a Block here. How does that affect us, or how is that? Does that change anything with us, or?
Yeah, right now it does not change anything with us. So our Project Eyes on the Block is a partnership that we have with just members of the community. So we don't use the company as our platform to request information.
Okay.
We've not ever done that. If we needed something from a company like that, we would follow the procedures of either getting a warrant or probably issuing an investigative subpoena if we were working directly with a company. Most companies require that anyway. Very few of them just voluntarily give us information. But our program is directly related to citizens within our community.
Okay.
It doesn't give us access to anything on their recording systems. It doesn't anything like that. It is literally a database that we have available to our units on patrol, that if they are working a case in a certain area and they're needing video footage, they can go on that database and they can see who signed up saying, I have cameras in this area, and if you guys need something, I'll work with you.
Awesome.
And that doesn't even require them to do so when the time comes. If we knock on your door and you're like, I don't really feel like giving you this, okay, that's fine. You don't have to. Nobody. So it's nothing like that. It just gives our officers a tool that might speed up the process of canvassing different areas when they're looking for evidence of a crime. And that was the goal of the whole thing. And especially in those situations where time is of the essence, like, we need a vehicle description, we need a suspect description. I don't necessarily have a resource, or I don't have time to send officers walking up and down this block looking to see. I need to know who I can go to right away that's already said, I'm willing to help should you have something in my area.
Sure.
And so, the CSOs were utilizing that this week with this last incident. I don't know if they actually pulled anything yet or not, but I know that they had started a list of individuals that they had contacted. So currently, right now, until we have any actual court stuff that says we're not allowed to use that, that to me reads more like a policy change within that organization.
Sure.
That they're just not going to offer that to law enforcement anymore without the tool of a warrant
or something. Yeah.
And 100%. At some point, that stuff's always going to be challenged, right? Like that's the defense's job, is to try to figure out how they can work with their clients and that kind of stuff. And so my guess is that sometime in the future we'll see some sort of challenge to utilizing security footage
Hmm.
that's out in public.
Right.
But currently that won't affect us. Our project Eyes on the Block is still operational. We encourage people to sign up. You can get on through the crime prevention webpage and put your information in there. Like I said, it doesn't mandate that you share any information. It doesn't give us any access to any of your stuff. It just gives us a name and an address and a phone number to reach should we need something in your area.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, just another way that, technology can assist in law enforcement, especially when you get some of these crimes. Luckily we didn't have physically a victim in something like this, but we do have victims in the fact of, it takes time, it's money, it's insurance money that are affecting these folks that are, you wake up in the morning and your window shot out, whether it's your car or your house, it's a huge inconvenience to them. So just another way for us to utilize to try and bring a little justice to the community members that were affected by that. So kind of another topic I wanted to jump into is us getting out into with the general public, checking in to see the temperature of where our folks that are living in Billings are at. And one of the ways we've done that in the past that we're going to continue on doing is through the Coffee with a Cop program. I kind of headed that off last year, setting up several different events with our local business owners here, in a way that they can come out and mingle with law enforcement, just talk about issues that they may have. We sit down, we hear their stories, we share a cup of coffee with them, and just have that dialogue with them face to face. So it's been a great program so far, a lot of success. And Matt, you've been a part of that quite a bit as well. So what are your thoughts on the Coffee with a Cop program?
Yeah, I think it's been incredibly successful. So, like you said, you started it last year. It was a great idea. Historically, we had kind of like a chat with the chief type dialogue every
Hmm.
once in a while, which is great. And I think people want that, and our chief is willing to do it. But it's hard to schedule that on a continual basis
Right.
with what he's got going on and what he's overseeing. And so, and then just being able to kind of link the patrol level
Hmm.
to the public and remind the patrol guys, the public that they're serving, and then remind the public like they're just normal guys
Yeah,
and gals, really. I mean,
absolutely.
they put a uniform on and go to a job, but you can sit down and converse with them. And so the three different styles that we have with Coffee with a Cop have been really good. We've got the ones where if you just run a business and you want to have your employees there and present, we've
Hmm.
got that opportunity through our crime prevention officer. He'll come out and just meet with your employees or your small group. In that setting, we've got the ones where we partner with the coffee shops or other businesses, and we
Sure.
bring a bunch of patrol guys in their cars, and we just one-on-one mingle with people as they come through the store, and just and do that. And then we've got more of the town hall style, where you and I or the chief usually go and stand up there and just take whatever questions come our way.
Rapid
So
fire.
they all have their pros or their benefits for different groups and stuff. But and one of my favorite ones to do are the town hall style ones. I
Right.
like those ones. It gives us an opportunity to answer a broad array of questions
Hmm.
and then speak to usually a fairly large audience. I think the last one you and I did was pushing 50
Yeah,
individuals.
it was
It
big.
was a big one at one of the churches, and it's a good way to just let everybody hear what you have going on and an opportunity to educate the public on why we're doing things a certain way, or why we handled a certain call a certain way, or what challenges we're facing. So they're great, and I think it's good. And I know we have a lot of people that are interested this year in hosting
Yes.
one. We had a lot of interest when we asked.
Yeah, absolutely. And anybody else that is interested in hosting a Coffee with a Cop, they can reach out on our Facebook page, shoot us a message in there, just a contact number, what business you're associated with, and we'll be happy to set you up. Our goal is to try to have 1 to 2 a month. of these events. So we're getting out and it's kind of the Montana. There's still that handshake means something here in Montana, or sitting down at a table with somebody and, so to speak, breaking bread with them. That's an important thing here, and I like that ideal. I like that mindset with the public that we share here. And nothing means more than sitting down with our general public as a police officer and kind of shedding that vest and shedding that. Not certainly a robot, but just becoming human again, and just having those conversations with our public is really important, not just to the public themselves, but also to the officers. So, just a really great way to interact, and we involve our uniform patrol. In a lot of that, so it's a really great program. And just to highlight, so we've got our next coffee with a cop coming up this let's see, February 13th, which is a Tuesday, from 5:30 to 7:30. We're going to host it at the Billings Public Library in their community room there, and we're really honored that Chief St. John is actually going to be there. He's going to be our keynote speaker, so he'll start out addressing those in attendance. We'll see if we can possibly get a Facebook live stream of that as well for those of you that aren't able to make it. And he'll go over several where we're at as a department, answer some questions in that, and then once he's done, we'll have several officers in attendance as well, so that you can meet with those folks and have conversations and talk with them, and just kind of bridge that gap that we have with law enforcement and our general public there. So great event. If you're able to come out and make it, we'd love to have you. There's a lot of seating there and that, so we'd be happy to fill the room and get all your questions answered, and just sit down and get to know you. So if you're able to make it, again, Tuesday, February 13th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the public library there. So we look forward to seeing you guys on that. A couple other upcoming things that we're having is coming up in March. We're actually we've got the Citizens Police Academy that's starting up. Looks like our class is actually filled up at this time. So those of you that have reached out in terms of having interest in that, we will. You can still shoot me an email at stovallje@billingsmt.gov. We're going to host a class this fall as well, so we can get you on a waiting list and keep in contact with you, so that we can make sure you're getting through that course as well. So we're going to highlight that coming up here probably in our next month's podcast, just getting ready for the program and everything. So folks that are involved in it know exactly what they're jumping in and getting their feet wet with. So kind of a tongue twister there. So yeah, again, we appreciate you guys tuning in today with our initial podcast. My plan is to have one of these at least once a month, just so we can kind of give you a temperature where we're at in law enforcement here locally, and then just talk about some of the issues, trends, community events, and things that we have coming up. So again, we appreciate you. Matt, thanks so much for joining us today here on the 5-0 Forum, and we look forward to seeing you guys next month.